Hi friends! If you are a lover of vintage clothes, please stay tuned because today I am going to introduce you to a young woman who is an illustrator and is working on a graduate school project having to do with vintage clothes and the stories behind them. It is so cool. Welcome to the Dress Up Mom. If you're already a subscriber, thank you and I love you. If you haven't subscribed, please do and tap the bell for notifications. A couple weeks ago, one of my viewers reached out to me because she saw a video I did on the stories behind vintage clothes, and she's working on a graduate school project that has to do with stories behind vintage clothes. We went back and forth on email, and I'm so excited about what she's doing that I wanted to introduce you to her so that she can tell you and you might want to participate. She's in London, I'm in San Diego, so we did a Zoom meeting and I recorded it. Let me just introduce you to Parris.
Well, it's great to meet you. Thanks so much for doing this. I'm so looking forward to it and intrigued about what it is that you're doing. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your project that you're working on.
I'm Parris. I'm from China, and I'm currently a graduate student studying illustration at Kingston University in the UK. Thank you for this opportunity to share my project, which is related to vintage. What I want to do is to explore the stories behind the vintage pieces, why I'm interested in vintage. The most attractive thing is that it's different from the current popular style, and it can make you look different. And wearing vintage clothes is like crossing me into another era. And when I was chatting with other vintage lovers, they also tell me something about why they love vintage, and they are influenced by family. They have been in contact with vintage since they were child, and inspired by old movies and better self-expression. Makes them more confident and do not suppose the fast fashion. And however, when I asked them if they would be curious about the stories behind the vintage, everyone replied to me, yes, of course. I still remember a lady who told me that she would imagine the vintage pieces may follow their previous owners to different countries, just like an adventure traveling around the world. And this also inspired me a lot to this topic. I think this is worth explored.
I'm a huge vintage lover, and I absolutely love thinking about the stories. If I know the story behind the clothes, it's even better. But like you, I like to make up what the story might have been. And I just think they're the best, like you said, for all the same reasons. Being able to find a unique style, not doing fast fashion. Clothing is made so much better constructed, and it has some history. I love the pieces that were from somebody in my family, but I also love finding other people's clothes too. I know that you watched my video on vintage stories of the clothing that I had, and you particularly found this dress that I bought at The Way We Wore, which is an amazing vintage shop in LA. If you don't follow that channel, Doris Raymond and The Way We Wore, oh my gosh, she tells you a history of fashion, and she's great. And I've had the opportunity to go in there, and I bought this amazing dress that was from the 1920s. I can't believe it, 100 years old. And you saw me feature that, and you reached out and did a sketch. So you asked me to envision the person that might have worn this back in the 1920s, and I told you sort of what that would look like to me. And then it was an interesting question because I've never thought of this before, but you asked me who might wear it in the future. And it was so funny because immediately I had this vision that my granddaughter would wear it. I don't even have a granddaughter yet, but I pictured sort of my granddaughter wearing that in the future. And it was just this really amazing feeling, honestly. And then what Parris did is she sketched that for me. And I just love it. The little granddaughter even looks like sort of what my granddaughter would look like. So I treasure this sketch and I'm going to keep it, maybe frame it. So is this what you're doing for your project? You want to do illustrations like this of showing garments past, current, and future?
I want to explore the stories and show everyone the stories behind the pieces.
What is the final product?
Fabric pattern, because I want to show intuitively and I show on the fabric, use the fabric printed like designer pattern, print this story on the fabric.
You're saying you would take all these different stories and illustrations that you're finding and create a piece of fabric and then be able to make clothing or something out of that fabric. Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. I would buy that in a minute. Please, you need to keep me posted on this fabric because I will be one of your first customers, right? And I'd love to see your sketches. What I'll do is I'll put information down in the description of this video so that people can reach out to you directly and you can hear their stories.
I can put my Instagram account for you. Also my email address.
And then maybe once you're finished, we'll have you come back on again and you can show us your sketches and your fabric. And in the meantime, I'm going to just love my sketch. Thank you so much. Keep me posted on your progress.
How adorable is she, first off? And secondly, what a great idea. This fabric is going to be amazing. I definitely would love to have an article of clothing made out of that. I'm going to put all her information in the description below here so that you guys can go ahead and reach out to her directly if you've got some stories that you want featured in her illustrations. She does such a wonderful job on them. This is one of the reasons I love this platform so much. The ability to meet other people who are passionate about vintage like me, regardless of age or where you are, it just brings us all together. Thank you so much, Parris, for joining me. Hopefully I get to have you on again where you show us your illustrations and this amazing fabric you're making. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Until next time, have fun and dress it up a little.